Are you thinking about moving to Victoria, British Columbia? If you are, you need to understand what it costs to actually live here. Victoria is one of the nicest places to live in all of Canada, but it is absolutely not the cheapest. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the real cost of living in Greater Victoria in 2026. We're talking housing, renting, strata fees, utilities, transportation, healthcare, dental, childcare, schools, taxes, ferries, and all the hidden costs that catch people off guard every single time. By the end of this video, you'll have a realistic picture of what it actually costs to live here, so you can plan properly before you make any decisions. Let's get into it. By the way, my name is Terry Karash. I'm a realtor with Remax Camosun here in Greater Victoria. And if you're thinking about making a move here, feel free to reach out to me. I have people just like you who contact me weekly, all the time, and I'd love to help. All my contact information is below. Feel free to call me, text me, email me. Let's get on to the video. Let's talk about the biggest number in the room, and that's buying a house. When I talk prices about homes in Victoria, I use what's called benchmark pricing, because benchmark prices give you the value of a typical property in an area, not skewed by outliers at the top or bottom, and that's what you get when you use averages. These numbers come directly from the Victoria Real Estate Board Market Report for April 2026. A typical single-family detached home across Greater Victoria has a benchmark price of about $1.2 million. That's not a mansion, and it's not a fixer-upper. That's just a typical home. Condos are the most accessible entry point at about $556,000. Townhomes sit in the middle at about $783,000. Here's what current benchmark prices look like. Take a look at this. These are significant numbers, and no matter how you look at them, housing by far is the single largest cost you're going to face when you move here. The April 2026 market had 3,710 active listings and 643 sales. Right now we are in a balanced market, and what that means is that buyers have options and they aren't forced into making panic decisions. That's a good environment for anyone planning a move. If you're buying a condo or a townhouse, which for a lot of newcomers that is an entry point, strata fees are something that you cannot ignore. In Greater Victoria, strata fees commonly run from $300 to $800 or more per month. Older buildings with elevators, underground parking, pools, or gyms will be at the higher end. A smaller, newer, self-managed building will be lower. These fees cover building insurance, maintenance, property management, and the contingency reserve. They don't go away, and they are not optional. Here's what I want you to keep in mind when you're looking at buying a condo or a townhouse. That formula on the screen, that's the number that actually matters. Not just the mortgage, all of it added together. Not everyone who moves here buys right away. Renting is actually a smart way to land. Learn the neighborhoods and figure out exactly where you want to live before you purchase. Here's what the current rental market looks like based on current data for May 2026. As you can see, renting here is not cheap either. And those are averages. The reality is you need to budget at the higher end of those ranges, not the lower end. Victoria's rental market is very tight right now. Good units move within a few hours of being listed. Start your search early. Have your paperwork ready, employment letter, references, pay stubs, and don't lowball your budget. Now, once you have a place, you'll need power. You need to power and connect it. And this is a section where people regularly underestimate what they'll spend. Let me walk you through each one. Let me show you a quick overview before we go through each one. That combined number on the bottom, $400 to $700 per month, That's what surprises most people. They budget for their mortgage and forget utilities are a significant bill on top of their mortgage. Let me break each one down. Victoria is serviced by BC Hydro for your electricity. Rates went up 3.75% on April 1st, 2026. Now, I'm not going to quote you a single monthly dollar figure because that would be misleading. A condo where you use electricity for lights and appliances is completely different from a house with electric baseboard heating in January. What I will say is this: BC Hydro has some of the lowest electricity rates in North America, and Victoria's mild climate means you need far less heating than almost anywhere else in Canada. If you're coming from Alberta or Ontario or anywhere with a serious winter, your energy costs here will be noticeably lower. For numbers specific to your home, go to bchydro.com and use their free rate estimator. That will give you a far more accurate figure than any average I could quote you here. Now, here's something that a lot of people moving to Victoria don't realize. This area has natural gas service through Fortis BC, and many homes use gas for heating, hot water, and cooking. This is a completely separate bill from your BC Hydro bill. Not every home has gas, some are all electric. When you're viewing any property, ask up front whether it has gas service or is fully electric. It affects your monthly costs and your setup when you arrive. Fortis BC increased residential rates by 11.1% as of January 1st, 2026, and based on average residential consumption, that works out to roughly $110 per month, higher in winter, lower in the summer. Fortis BC also reviews gas commodity rates every 3 months, so bills can shift quarterly with market prices. Water and sewer are billed separately from your property taxes, and they come every 4 months. So you get 3 utility bills a year rather than monthly charges. Rates will vary by the municipality you're in, so when you know your address, check directly with your municipality for your specific costs. This one catches newcomers completely off guard. Garbage collection is not always handled the same way across Greater Victoria. In the city of Victoria and Saanich, garbage is a municipal utility. You're billed for it based on your bin size, but in areas like Langford, Colwood, North Saanich, and Central Saanich, garbage is handled by private companies. That means you arrange for it and pay for it yourself on top of everything else. Before you finalize where you're going to live, ask this question: is garbage collection included in my municipal utilities, or do I need to arrange for it privately? That answer depends entirely on your municipality. Transportation costs really depend on where you live in Greater Victoria. This city is also one of the better cycling cities in all of Canada, and a lot of residents cut their costs by biking rather than driving. Here's a quick look of the key numbers before I walk you through them. The transit pass at $85 a month is really great value if you can make it work for your commute. And the ICBC Freeze is good news for anyone who drives a vehicle here. For vehicle insurance, BC has public auto insurance through ICBC, and basic rates are confirmed frozen through to the spring of 2027. That's 7 straight years without an increase. Your actual premium depends on your driving record and your vehicle. So talk to an auto plan broker when you arrive for a quote specific to your situation. If you're driving and parking downtown regularly, budget for $150 to $300 per month. It's pretty realistic depending on where you park. Here's another one that surprises people when they move here. If you want to get to Vancouver or anywhere on the mainland, you have to take a ferry, and they're not free. Fares increased in April 2026. A foot passenger from Schwartz Bay to Tawasin is now $21. A standard vehicle and the driver runs $110 at the regular rate. Book ahead on a saver fare, sailing and that drops as low as $49 to $89. So booking in advance makes a real difference. It's also worth mentioning, BC seniors 65 and older ride free as foot passengers Monday through Thursday with a valid BC ID. If you're retired and flexible on those days, that's a good saving for you right there. If you're traveling to the mainland regularly for work, family, medical appointments, build ferry costs into your annual budget because it adds up quickly. BC has a public funded healthcare system. There are no monthly premiums for BC residents. Your basic doctor visits, specialist referrals, and hospital care are covered through your provincial taxes. That's a genuine financial benefit compared to a lot of other places. One important thing for newcomers to know, finding a family doctor in Victoria is very difficult right now. Many new residents spend months on the Health Connect registry waiting list. Walk-in clinics, urgent care centers, and virtual care help fill the gap. But plan for this before you arrive, not after, because the odds are you are not going to have a family doctor for a long time. One of the other expenses that families with young children may encounter are childcare costs. BC has a number of subsidized programs for childcare. Be sure to check childcarebc.ca. BC has exceptional programs where applicants may qualify for as little as $10 a day per child at a licensed daycare. Greater Victoria has both a strong public school system and a well-established private school community. Public education from kindergarten through grade 12 is free for BC residents. The school districts here offer a wide range of programs: French immersion, arts programs, trades, sports, academics. Now, catchment areas matter. Where you buy or rent determines which school your child attends, so research that before you choose a neighborhood. On the private school side, some of the most well-known schools in Victoria include St. Michael's University, Glen Lyon Norfolk, St. Margaret's School, Pacific Christian School, Brooks West Shore, and Pearson College. Here's the tuition range for private schools in Greater Victoria. That's a wide range, $10,000 to $30,000 a year. If private schools are part of your plan, that needs to be built into your budget from day one, not figured out after you arrive. This is a section that catches people off guard a lot. Some of these costs can add up to tens of thousands of dollars. Let me go through them one by one. When you buy real estate in British Columbia, there's a property transfer tax. So what that amounts to, for example, you pay 1% on the first $200,000. You pay 2% on the next amount from $200,000 up to $2 million. After $2 million, you pay 3%. So remember that when you're going to buy. So for an example, on $1 million property, you'd be paying $18,000 purchase tax. Have a look at this chart. Now, if you're a first-time buyer, there are exemptions, and you may have to only pay part of the tax. It depends on the purchase price for a first-time buyer. I'm not going to go into that right now, but look at whatever you're buying in the purchase price, and your realtor can go over that with you. If you're buying a new home, federal GST may apply on top of the property purchase tax. Most resale homes don't have GST, but new construction typically does. So make sure you factor this in if you're looking at a new home. And again, there are some exemptions. Each case is different, but again, just be aware and check it out before you buy a new home. See what the costs and taxes are. BC has a 5% federal GST tax and a 7% provincial sales tax for a total of 12% on most goods and services. As of October 2026, the property sales tax, the 7%, is also expanding to cover some professional services that were previously untaxed. Now, one of the other taxes we have in British Columbia, it's called the speculation and vacancy tax. If you're a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident and you own a vacant property in Greater Victoria, you will pay 1% of the assessed value on that property every single year. If you're a foreign owner, that jumps to 3%. Here's something that a lot of people miss. Even if you live in the home and you don't own a penny, you still have to file a declaration every year by March 31st. If you forget to file, the government assumes you owe the tax and they send you a bill. So don't skip it. It actually happened to me this year. I filled in a form after when I got the bill, and then they sent me another note a month later saying I didn't know anything. But it scared the heck out of me when I got the bill. Holy moly. The next tax you have to be aware of, it's called the BC flipping tax. If you buy a home in British Columbia and you sell it within 1 year, you pay 20% tax on any profit you make. Between 1 year and 2 years, that tax gradually reduces. Own it for 2 full years and the tax is completely gone. Now, there are exceptions to this tax, like divorce, illness, job relocation, but just be aware that it's there, okay? So here's a summary of the taxes I've talked about. Keep this handy. Any one of these items can catch someone off guard. Together they can add up to a very significant amount. The people who move here successfully are the ones who knew about all of these in advance, which is exactly why I made this video. Okay, now you've heard all the individual numbers. Let me put them together into a realistic monthly picture. These are general estimates. Your actual costs will depend on your housing choice, whether you own a car, whether you have children, and on your lifestyle. Here's what it all adds up to. Take a look at these monthly estimates. These are real numbers, and for a lot of people looking at them from outside of BC, that family number especially comes as a bit of a shock. But now you know, and knowing means you can plan for it properly. So is Greater Victoria expensive? Yes, absolutely, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But people don't move here because it's cheap. They move here because of the climate. There is not another city in Canada quite like it. The people who thrive here are the ones who go in prepared. They know the numbers, they build a realistic budget, they understand the market, and then they make a clear-eyed decision. That's what I'm here to help you do. If you're thinking of making a move to Greater Victoria and want to talk through what your budget can realistically get you, whether that's renting first, a condo, a townhouse, or a detached home, give me a call. As I said, I have people just like you reaching out to me weekly that are planning on moving here. So don't be afraid to give me a call, a text, or an email. My information is below. Thanks for watching the video.